You didn't lose control. You started negotiating it. It doesn't disappear. It erodes in decisions you stop noticing. The dinner you didn't plan for. The flight that pushed your workout back. The week that got away from you. And before you know it, the body you had 6 months ago is gone. Not because you stopped caring, because you stopped deciding. And the man who stops deciding doesn't stay in control anywhere for long. Let me tell you what this episode actually is. This isn't another here's what to eat, here's how to train conversation. You already know all of that. This is about why a man who can control the company can't seem to control himself when weeks get messy or when the week gets messy. I want to talk you through exactly where that breaks, not theoretically, but in moments you keep overlooking. Because if you can see it clearly, you can actually fix it. And right now, you're not seeing it. This is Iron Suits, where strength wears a crown. I am your host, Marwan Killu. You built a business by controlling variables. You didn't hope clients would show up. You built a system that made them show up. You didn't guess at revenue. You tracked it, adjusted it, optimized it. You didn't leave hiring to chance. You created a process that consistently delivered the right people. That's who you are in business. You don't wing quarterly reviews. You don't skip investor calls because you're tired. You don't tell your CFO you'll catch up next week when the numbers are off. If a team member misses 3 deadlines in a row, you don't accept I've been busy as an explanation. You have non-negotiables. Standards that don't move, lines you don't cross. Your calendar is blocked. Your meetings run on time. Your follow-up is immediate. When something matters, you build a system around it. You don't rely on motivation. You don't rely on willpower. You rely on structure. That's how you built everything you have. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. But put you on a plane and suddenly you're eating whatever is in front of you. Think about the last time this happened. Give you a full calendar and the gym becomes optional. Throw in a few social dinners and the next morning you're deciding whether you feel like training. Had a long week and you're justifying why you haven't eaten a real meal in 3 days. A client emergency comes up and suddenly your body is the last thing that gets deprioritized. You said you were training today. It was in the calendar, blocked, non-negotiable. Then something moves. A call runs over. A meeting gets added. You look at the time and think, I'll push it later. You've said that before. Later comes. You're tired now. Not exhausted, just not sharp. And you start negotiating. I won't get a good session in anyway. Better to go tomorrow and do it properly. Sounds reasonable, huh? And that's why it works. You close the laptop, tell yourself you'll hit it first thing in the morning. And for a moment, you feel in control again. Because the plan still exists. Just not today. That's the moment. Not when you miss a week. Not when you gain weight. That decision. When the standard moved and you let it. You have a dinner you didn't plan for, and the next day you lose up with breakfast because, hey, what the heck, yesterday was already off. So might as well carry on, right? One day becomes three. Three becomes a week. Like when one of your tires goes, you go and pop every other one. He's like, well, one has already gone, so might as well change all four, huh? And if you're honest, you've watched that happen in real time. And by the time you notice, you've been off plan for a month. The same man who never runs a business on feelings is running his body on them. That's not inconsistency. That's a split identity. And you've been managing that split instead of fixing it. You wouldn't tolerate this in your company. You would fire someone for this level of inconsistency. If your head of sales said, I'll hit my numbers when things calm down, you replace him. If your marketing lead missed every deadline and said, I've been busy, you stop accepting the excuse. If your product team delivered results only when conditions were perfect, you would rebuild the team. But with yourself, you call it balance. You call it being realistic. You tell yourself you're doing your best because up to now, you've been explaining it. This is where we stop explaining and start telling the truth. Here's what's actually happening. You're not failing because you don't know what to do. You're failing because the version of you that knows what to do doesn't show up when conditions aren't perfect. You have standards for your business. You don't have standards for your body. You have discipline when you're rested, when your calendar's clear, when the week goes to plan. But the moment life applies pressure, you fold. A client emergency comes up and suddenly lunch is wherever you can grab between meetings. I don't have time to meal prep. I'll just eat clean when I'm out. You don't. You tell yourself it's temporary. Just a day. Just this week. But there's always another emergency. There's always another reason. You're traveling for 3 days and training becomes something you'll figure out when you get back. I'll hit the hotel gym in the morning. I brought my shoes. You didn't. You don't figure it out when you get back either. You get back and you're behind on emails, meetings stacked, calls running late. And the workout you're going to do, it gets pushed to tomorrow. I'll train after this call wraps up. The call runs long. You skip it. Tomorrow gets pushed again. You're sitting at a table, menus in your hand, and you already know what you said you'll do today. You made a plan this morning. You were clear. Eat clean, stay sharp, don't drift. Then the waiter comes over and everything shifts. Drinks first, starters, sides, no hesitation. And there's a moment, you feel it, where you can either hold the line or blend in. I don't want to be that guy. You've said that before. So you adjust slightly. Nothing dramatic. You tell yourself you'll just keep it reasonable. I'll stay in control. I already know what happens next. One drink turns into two. Bread hits the table. You weren't even hungry, but it's there. You're not thinking about the plan anymore. You're thinking about not standing out. And the whole time there's a voice running quietly in the background. This isn't what you said you'll do. This isn't what I said I'll do. But you override it. Not because you don't care, because in that moment, The room matters more than the standard. And that's the drift. That's the shift, rather. That's where control leaves. Not in a dramatic decision, in a subtle trade. Standard for comfort. And you don't notice it fully until later. But it wasn't one meal last week either. You're not losing control because life is predictable. You're losing control because you never built a system that could handle unpredictability. Your standards only work when everything goes right. When you wake up on time. When your schedule is clear. When you're not traveling. When you're not stressed. Which means they're not standards. They're ideas you have about yourself when conditions are easy. In business, you plan for chaos. You build buffers, you automate decisions, you create systems that run whenever whether you're tired or not. You don't hope your team will perform. You build a structure that makes performance inevitable. But with your body, you're hoping. You're hoping you have time. You're hoping the week won't get crazy. You're hoping you'll feel motivated. You're hoping you'll have the time. And hope is not a strategy. This week has been insane. I'll get back on track on Monday. You say Monday like it's a reset button. Like the version of you on Monday is different to the one making decisions right now. All right? You've been handing responsibility to a future version of you that never shows up. Monday comes, calendar's full again, energy's the same, pressure hasn't gone anywhere, and you repeat it. This week is just busy. You're not resetting, you're recycling the same week with a different date on it. And the worst part, you're not even aware it's happening. Because in your mind, you're still the disciplined guy. You still think of yourself as someone who takes care of himself. You see other men let themselves go and you think, that's not me. See the guy at the conference with the gut hanging over his belt and you think, I'm not there yet. I'm not that out of shape. I can still see my abs in the right light. Yeah, the lighting is doing more work than you are. But you're closer than you think, because the gap between where you are and where the guy is not as wide as you want it to be. You're just 6 months behind him. And he didn't think it'd end up there either. Maybe a year. And the trajectory you're on right now, it leads to the same place. Because identity without behavior is just a story you tell yourself. Right now, the story and reality are splitting further apart every week. You know this. You feel it every time you take your shirt off. Every time you catch yourself in the mirror that isn't the one in your bathroom. Every time you try on a suit that fit 6 months ago and it pulls differently now. Every time someone posts a photo and you see yourself from an angle you don't usually see. You feel the gap between who you think you are and what you see. Between what you tell yourself between what you tell yourself you're going to do and what you actually do. Between the version of you that you're selling to everyone else and the version of you that shows up when no one is watching. I know what I need to do. I just need to commit. You've been saying that for 6 months. You tell people you're getting back into it. you've been getting back into it for a year. You tell yourself you're going to be more consistent. But consistency without structure is just another intention that dies under pressure. I'll start fresh on Monday. No point starting midweek. You've started fresh 12 Mondays in a row. You tell yourself you'll lock in next month, after this launch, after this trip, after things settle down. And you know that. You've been in business long enough to know that when things calm down, is a fantasy. There will always be another launch, another trip, another busy season. The chaos is permanent. So if your standards only work when the chaos stops, they'll never work. I've earned this. I close a deal. I deserve to relax. Except relaxing has become your default, not your reward. I'm too tired to train well. I'll rest and go hard tomorrow. Tomorrow you're tired again. This is the part most men avoid. If your standards only exist when conditions are perfect, they're not standards. They are moods, and moods collapse under pressure. You don't need someone to tell you what to eat. You already know. You don't need someone to show you how to train. You've done it before. What you need is to admit that knowing what to do and doing it are not the same thing. And right now, you're pretending they are. Busy is not the problem. Busy is the excuse you use when you don't want to admit that you've lost control. The calendar doesn't lie. Show me your last 2 weeks and I'll show you what you actually prioritize. Discipline isn't what you do when you feel like it. It's what you do when you don't. You don't need more information. You don't need a better plan. You don't need another program or another coach telling you just stay consistent. To just stay consistent. You need to stop pretending that effort without structure is enough. What you're missing is a structure that holds when your life doesn't. Not when things are calm, not when you're rested, when the week is full, when you're traveling, when nothing goes to plan. Because right now, your standard only exists in ideal conditions. And your life isn't built on ideal conditions. It's built on pressure, which means if your system can't handle pressure, you don't have a system, you have a preference. Because right now, you're working hard at staying exactly where you are. And I know that's hard to comprehend. You're busy, you're grinding, you're putting in the hours. But none of that matters if the body isn't changing. And that version of you that you're trying to get back to, the one who was lean, sharp, and in control, he's not coming back on his own. Not while you're still operating like standards are optional. Not while you're still making decisions in the moment instead of making them once and following the system. Not while you're still treating your body like the one thing your life, like the one thing in your life that can run on hope. And if nothing changes, this doesn't stay a physique problem. It becomes who you are. If you're listening to this, or if you're watching this and you know exactly where your standard has been slipping, don't overthink it. Fix one decision today. And if you can't see where it's breaking, that's usually the problem. Send me the word control on Facebook and I'll show you exactly where it's leaking. It's facebook.com, Marwan Killu. That's where you can find me on fitness, on Facebook rather. And that's all I got you for you today. I hope this episode brought value to you. If it did, then make sure you leave me a positive review on iTunes and share this with another leader, because as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Follow me on my socials. I am on Facebook under Marwan Killu, LinkedIn Marwan Killu Fitness. You can even watch this on YouTube under Marwan Killu. And make sure you subscribe to the show so that you get notifications when a new show goes live. Right now, I'm doing three shows a week on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Till next time, have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.